Hello again, as Mike said, welcome to our webinar today. I'll take a few minutes here and go through a presentation about AP automation. I have a demo. It actually is done by Alan Toker. Alan, unfortunately, has come down ill today, so we have a recording of a demo that he's done in the past that we'll be showing, so you'll be able to see the product that we're going to talk about today and just a little bit of how it works. So with that, get started. So again, Tim Stevens, company has been in business for 30 years. We're a top integrator. We also are an ABBYY Premier Partner. A great deal of experience in capture of documents and data with advanced capture solutions. We have professional services staff, and we do a lot of system integration. We are customer focused. Most of our implementations are highly customized and have a great deal of customer retention. The things we try to do to make sure customers are taken care of have worked very well for us and for our clients. That being said, we're here today to talk a little bit about AP automation, and studies the top concerns of finance executives, people that have responsibility for accounts payable, and number one is the invoice processing costs. There's a lot of labor typically involved in processing invoices. Studies show anywhere from $5 to $15 per invoice is what a company typically has invested just to get that process completed. So it's a highly important area in everybody's company. Second top issue is improve the visibility into invoices. So let me see what we have, what's due, what's coming up, those type of things. They want to decrease the cycle time, so if there are some discounts and things they can take advantage of. Also for cash management. The more information that you have, the easier it is to manage that process and how you're paying your bills and when you're paying and what's due and those types of things. So for executives in the finance world, strategic actions are to automate invoice receipt. I want to standardize the way you handle invoices. Today, organizations have invoices coming in from many different ways, and they're processed somewhat differently depending on where they come from or how you receive them. So they want to standardize that, assess how they're handling that internally in more e-payables type solutions. And we're also seeing a trend of people trying to centralize the AP process to get away from satellite regional offices having kind of redundant processes. So let's take a closer look at the top pressures. And one, as we said, is just the cost of an invoice. There's a manual situation. If you're doing data entry, there's a high cost of having people doing that process. You're prone, you have people manually entering information because it doesn't work. It's a lot of same things over and over, and it's difficult to process that as accurately as you would like to. So in that system, the system is now going to be extracting that data from the invoices as they come in, and then validating that data that is extracted against information that you already have in your system. So doing that, we can greatly improve the accuracy of that data, as well as greatly reduce the number of people it takes to get that information entered. To address the cost of the invoice. The second concern was the visibility. We have invoices sitting on people's desks. We have invoices sitting in people's boxes that have been emailed to them. You've got things in different places in your organization, and so you just don't always know what bill you have to pay. So with that visibility, you don't know what your outstanding payments are, so it's very difficult to forecast what your cash needs are, what your payables are going to be, and to manage that process. So when you implement the system, since you're getting the documents now immediately as they come into your organization, you gain visibility to that information right away. So you know what invoices you have, you know what your obligations are, and it makes it much easier to manage your cash flow in that process. was just control of the process. Today, manually with paper invoices, if you have an approval process, I'm sure very difficult to manage. Moving paper through the organization to get approvals for things that you don't have maybe a PO for, or you may require approvals on any invoice over certain amounts. If you're doing this all from a paper process today, it's difficult to control that. So you've got to lose invoice, have delays, you have a lot of overhead because you're handling a lot of paper, and then you miss invoice here or there, and you've got a supplier who is upset because they haven't been paid. So by implementing a nation process, able to do this approval electronically. So the documents are coming in, the data being extracted from them by the system immediately. You know what issues that you have, and then you can kick off an automated electronic workflow where you can get these approved in a systematic way, where you have rules-based of who needs to see the invoice, who needs to approve it, and once that's complete, to the process to get it paid. So the system then is going to make the process much more controlled and more systematic. Okay? And the other is, looking at the cost of implementation, being able to integrate this into much of what you're already doing, and have to start over, create an entire new account system to be able to do this. So you're looking for something that you can implement that doesn't upset your existing infrastructure. That's a little bit the main concerns and the pressures that are seen by a lot of accounts payable people. You're doing a manual process today, probably something like this. You've got invoices that are coming into maybe a branch office, paper form or PDF, so you're maybe mailing them to a central area. Invoices that are coming into various departments in the company, into the mailroom, back to a purchasing person, end user. And so there's a lot of delays just in this first part of getting the invoices that you're receiving to the right place. It could take a day or two to get there. And in some cases, if you're mailing from branch offices, it could take up to a week to get that information delivered. Plus, you've got costs associated with that. So a manual process, more than likely, the documents come in. You've got a manual review of them. You've got some type of approval process where the documents are moved through in a paper format to get the approvals or the signatures on them that you need. You've got to get them coded, then into the system, and then ultimately into your ERP and schedule for payment and those types of things. So it could take 5 to 20 days, and it's really difficult to take advantage of any discounts. One, you have little visibility into what you have to pay, and at the same time, it's a lot of manual work here, and a lot of people being paid to get this process done. So that process, you got now to submit these invoices electronically, no matter how they come to you. Whether they come in paper and you scan it, or if it comes to you already as an electronic image as a PDF. But on this stuff, these images can go directly into the system, and now these additional costs for mailing and things of that nature. You immediate visibility of this information because it's now being entered into your system right away. Eliminated a lot of the paper handling and the paper approvals. You have less staff involved, so you've lowered your cost. You've greatly reduced your time. So this is kind of where an automated system could take you and the places that it could save you time and money. So here's more of an outline of what an automated system would look like. Now you have invoices that come into a branch office or satellite office. You could scan them through web scanning. They come to you in paper. If they're coming to you as PDF or emails, those could be automatically routed to the system. they coming into the mailroom or coming back to the purchaser or coming into the AP department. It doesn't matter now because we're going to take those either PDF files if they're coming to you already in electronic format, or if it's paper, we'll go ahead and scan that, and all information gets entered into the system immediately. The system will perform data recognition. It's when they check the data from the documents, give you then the validation against existing data you have a chance for people to verify it, get your approvals electronically, which speeds that process up. So now you can see that we've taken the time to complete this process and reduced it significantly, and the number of people involved, reduced them as well to show cost savings. So that's kind of how the automated invoice processing system connects your organization. So we'll talk just a little bit about the solution that we're proposing today or presenting to you today, and it's one way of going about automating your AP process. So the solution we provide is from ABBYY. ABBYY's been in business since 1989. World company, processes 8 billion pages a year of data. Engine that ABBYY uses to recognize on the documents is widely used by any number of other software vendors in this marketplace. They are the true leader in that technology, and they license a great deal of it to other people to use in their product. Some that we have installations at, but again, this product is widely used all around the world. Select here is called FlexiCapture for Invoices. It's a turnkey solution that will greatly improve the productivity of your AP department and with the cost. With paper exchange and all the data entry, gives capture of the invoices that we talked about, a centralized extreme and validation of the data. We ability to do straight-through processing so that if you have an invoice that comes in that matches up directly to a PO that you've created, we can date that electronically and pass that on for payment. Great thing about it is it works with your current system, so you don't have to go out and recreate your AP system or purchase a brand new AP or ERP system. Actually work with them. So that's very attractive in the way that it can be implemented into your current infrastructure. So general drawing of kind of how the systems work, and if you have anything coming in either EI or XML, you have that probably directly routed into your ERP system, so that's handled that way. But now we can offer to you as if a document comes to you as a PDF or to you in paper form, we'll get through this process. The beauty set up email addresses that ABBYY can monitor. So if you have an invoices@yourcompany.com, we monitor that email address, and as invoices come into that, we'll actually pick up the attachments from the emails and start them through the process. You'll need to scan using either an MFP or a document scanner. If web capture, if you have remote offices that need to scan pages in, we can do that through a web capture process. And a mobile capture processor where you can use your phone to actually capture images of images and upload them and start the process. So the images are entered into the system. We intelligent data recognition. We do automated checks against data for validation. And if there are POs involved, we're going to do that PO matching at this stage. If the PO and the invoice match up, that's a pass-through, and it goes through the approval workflow. Or if there's any question about any of the data, or any of the data doesn't match a PO, then it's going to be presented to a person to be reviewed or corrected. So this is a general layout of how a system might look. So we're going to just look at each piece just a little bit more closely. So multi-capture, this talks about the ability to bring documents into the system in a number of different ways. And it's an amazing stat, 20% of organizations today and I think the number could be higher, actually print out documents and then scan them back into another system. We talk to clients on a more regular basis than you would expect that do things of that nature. So what we get to is that however the document comes to you, whether it comes to you as paper or already as an electronic file, we want to be able to bring that directly into the system without having to touch it any more than you need to. So as I said before, we can monitor email addresses, we can monitor FTP sites, we can scan this through a web-based scanning or through your local scanners, we can bring faxes, we can bring in documents through your mobile device, all into the system immediately so that they can be built in the organization, and we can start the process of getting those through your system. So once in the system and we read data, one of the first things we validate is we look and see if we can match up the supplier in the database. So we're going to read the document, read the supplier is off the document, and go to your data and make sure it's an existing vendor. And once we can match up things such as addresses and phone numbers to make sure we have the right locations. We also can look at your business units based on addresses and ship-to addresses and things of that nature so that we can actually code it to the correct business unit within your organization that the expense would go against. And this has multiple addresses, variations, has logic built into it to be able to read things that match exactly, but they are the same location. So it's a very powerful part of this is we immediately read this information and match it up and make sure they are an existing vendor of yours. Second, then extract specific data from the invoice. So in the past, systems like this had to be really customized because all the invoices that you received all were different. And you had to set up these templates to read all these different kinds of invoices that you bring in. But they have pre-built almost that right into the product. We test of our customers where we have 100 of their invoices. We've ran the ABBYY system, and it recognizes this data almost immediately just based on the way the system has been developed by ABBYY. So there's a lot of custom work to it, to get a lot of really unbelievable ABBYY from structured forms that an invoice falls into. So pre-figured, we can find the invoice number and date. We can the address of who you're from, the suppliers. You can get the delivery dates. We can pick up the purchase order data. We can actually pick up the line item detail, quantities, calibers, amounts, and then find totals and match all these things up. So just think of that if you could take all your invoices, scan, bring them in electronically, and have a system pick all the data up off the document for you and pass that along, what a great time saver it would be. And at the same time, we're validating all this information against existing data you might have in your system, so we know the accuracy is very, very high. So when extracted, we have the ability for you to review it, and so you can go to different places on the form, and it will go box to box and show you what it read. It will show you the area on the image that it was read from. It gives you a chance to make any corrections that might be needed. If for some reason it's looking the wrong place for a specific piece of data, in this case, on this image, it's looking for the date, I actually find it is located, and then I click on the train button, which allows the user to tweak an invoice to make the data is read accurately. So you don't have to go back to a programmer because all of a sudden the company from maybe changed their layout slightly. You, as an end user, can actually train the system to look for the data in a different position on the form. It's really, really a unique and powerful tool that ABBYY provides. So we can connect to your systems, and we can jump against purchase orders. So since we're reading the purchase order number on the invoice when we bring it in, we can go out to your system, we look for the purchase order, and then we match up the line in detail to make sure that the quantities and the pricing are what we expect. If those two things match, then the invoice can be passed through as approved, and there's really no correction to it. There's nothing that needs to be done. If there is some discrepancy, then it'll be presented to a person to verify, and they can see where it is, if there's a shipment that was short or a price that was incorrect or something of that nature. But this really can automate a process where you would never have to touch a lot of your invoices if you do a lot of purchase order type of buying. So substance processing, we validate it, we PO. If it matches to the PO, then we can pass it straight through to the ERP system. So key differentiators about the product: it is a worldwide technology leader. The technology they have is used in many other software providers' products. The product from ABBYY's development, they spent countless hours in developing the invoice part, where they can read the vast majority of invoices without any customization, which is something really unique to ABBYY. Now to your back end, work with your existing infrastructure, works with your current accounting system. So we're not going to change the world for you. We're just going to add something to your system that's going to eliminate most of the manual data entry that you're doing today. And it's inexpensive to deploy because we're having to go out and create countless number of templates to read the various invoices that you receive. The way the system is built, that's already been done for us, so we don't have an expensive implementation and put the system in place. So kind of we have just from a presentation about information in general and what it addresses, as well as the parts of the product. So now to the demo. As I said, Alan is unavailable, so if you'll bear with me here. We'll see if this keeps working. Oh, this is Alan Toker via technology.
And I'm going to show you demo some of the features that Mike was talking about. And you're seeing here, this is what's known as a standalone installation of ABBYY. So it's all installed on one machine. So some of the workflow features that he showed are simulated on this because there isn't the normal in a production system and a distributed system. You have multiple servers and workstations, and here you're going to see everything in one place. So see me doing some things manually that in a environment would be automatic behind the scenes. The first thing I'm going to show you here is just an example of just showing you it recognizing some images and or rejecting them. So all that here are some images that would commit to a system. To manually select and tell to recognize them. It can be automatic. So right now it's doing that, and you can see the thing is the pages. And it should take just a little bit. There it goes. In a production system, here are valid and it says ready for export. Would not need to go directly to, would not go to a validation station. It could be required, but this says they're ready for export. So unless that specifically said we wanted to have a 100% validation, these would pass right through the system. So these looks like it's got a valid status. It's found the unit information. It's vendor information, and found the basic invoice data that's been requested for on this. So a whole lot to see here. It found what's needed. can see and the one thing that's of interest is that the total that it picked up is actually on the bottom of the third page. So this is a multiple page invoice. It automatically detected where the total was. Obviously, the third page there. Let's take a look at none of these. Here's a different type invoice, different layout, but you can see it did the same thing. It found the information. Here, total is right on the first page. So, yeah, these go right through. That one here, it says something. So it's rejected. Now, so the problem is that it didn't find the total properly. And you can see it's saying, well, this isn't the currency. So I'm here to go, oh, well, yeah, it picked up the date. All I have to do is cancel that, go over and amount, and now you can see that it now has the amount, the status is down to valid. Save that, and now that one is ready for export. So with the simple case where there isn't a whole information to do, it comes through very quickly. Okay, now, I want to show you is a sample of the operator training. So I have 4 invoices here, they're all from the same type. I recognize 3 of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how if you have something that isn't recognized, an invoice comes in and it can't find and recognizes what it's seen before, the one operator can train it so that it will work in the future. So you see all 3 have been rejected. So I go to the first one here. And, okay, well, the problem is that it didn't find the total. So I said, all right, well, then where on this page is the total? Well, it's in here. So what I do is hide that, hitting button that Mike mentioned, and it's same information. Now to the next document, and same thing. It's saying, okay, I don't know where the total is. So I'm going to go down here and say, oh, it's here. Because I have to do this 3 times so it can build a rule for that. So trade it again. Go to the next one. And at one more time. Now, this you're going to see when I hit train, it's going to take slightly longer because it's now actually building the rule. So, what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to this last one that was not recognized. So this would be one after it's been trained. There's another one. Select that. This went direct to export because, in fact, it found the information because it's learned what I trained it. It's where total is. And then just for the total field, that would be any field combination of fields that it couldn't find. You would get it. At point forward, it is capable of doing that. This also creates what's known as a batch here, which is composed of what I just did, so that an administrator could review this. If you want, you could have it so the administrator could review it and sign off on it that yes, it is in fact correct the way we wanted to do that. So another check and balance on that. All right, well, I'm going to close this and go to another, and this is one where I'm going to show how it does the purchase order matching. So I'm going to recognize these. And what's connected to is there are 3 database tables behind this. 2 are required for and the third if you want to do purchase order matching. So you have a business unit database, how it knows the business unit information. This is our business unit information here. And so this is pulling this from database. It's finding it on the document and match to the database and pull that in. I also have a vendor data or table with the same thing here. All your vendors would be listed. And there are vendors that are not in the system. The editor can add them, but that is a temporary thing. The actual index has to be updated by your administrator. That's the purpose of putting incorrect information into the master database. The piece in this case, because we're doing purchase order matching, is you see down here we now have purchase orders, we have items. So there's database tables that contain the information that would be extracted or linked up to your existing system, so something to match with. So what you can see here is that it found on this invoice, and these invoices, by the way, have not been trained. These were just through the system, and it found everything on its own. So it figured out where this was based on the rules that are built in, figured out where the line items were, and so it came here and it did a match. If I got details, this is an extract from the database showing what is matching to. See, there are my line items, and they're mentioned here. Right here. So down here, you can see it found my my line items, and because everything matched up, this automatically go through. If you chose to, it go right through to an approval process. It's an invoice. It's a completely different layout, yet it's done all the same thing. It found the line items, and if it didn't, these could be trained on the fly, and then the next time it found an invoice of this type, it would be able to deal with it. Another example, again, you can see here's a completely different looking invoice. You found all the same information, and here's I think this is similar to one of the other ones, but it's different on our line items, and that's the last one I have. That is a pretty quick, it's kind of an overview of what things that Mike was talking about look like. And while you can customize this and other specific custom pieces, what in here is basically right out of the box. This is what you would see just installing the software and starting invoices and getting your databases ready and then starting to process invoices. You would see some very similar to this. Right? That concludes my portion of what I have to show. Am I sending this back? Am I sending this back?
Did great work. Thank you. Anyway, so a nice demo gives you an idea of how the product looks and how it works. We do have a few questions. We'll handle those and we'll wrap this up. From Jim says, I'm not a technical user. What type of skills are needed to set up vendors, invoices, and maintain the system? Once you get it implemented, you don't have to be overly technical, as you could see, to kind of adjust invoices. Train the invoice or the system to read your invoices if they're a little bit different, making a change if something happens. What we do is we work with you and we take updates from your ERP system for your existing vendors or your business units and those type of things. So that's on a regular basis where you're outputting an updated list or an updated database, and we're matching against that table. So it does not really take a lot of technical work once we get it implemented. A couple questions from Deb. What is the cost basis for a system like this? These systems are based on the number of invoices that are processed. processed. It's not a page count, it's more of just the number of invoices, whether it's a 1-page or a 5-page or 10-page invoice, and the system's based on a per number of invoices to process. The question is, how does the system handle multi-page invoices, which include pages of the invoice and supporting documents such as bill dating, etc. So the system is trained. It's looking for the invoice to start a document. It can read multiple page invoice that are actually what I would consider invoice pages. So you may have 3 pages of items that you've purchased from some vendors, and how to put those 3 pages together as the same invoice. And in the same way, after it comes to the end of the invoice, if there's a bill of lading or a copy of appeal or any other documentation, it knows that those training or tag-along documents go with the invoice itself, and then save that all together. So the system is able to separate those documents, keep them all together that go together. So it's very able to do. We have one more question. Dave says, how much work will this be from my IT department? What happens here is we work with your IT group to get this implemented and installed, make sure that we can connect the information about your vendors, things of nature. But it's this system comes almost pre-configured in a lot of ways. It's being able to read invoices. There's not a lot of IT involvement needed. I think that's one of the reasons this is such a good solution, because every organization here, the number of IT resources you have are in short supply. And the great things about this process is that we implement this system with limited IT support on your side, which is really, really helpful in the business environment that we're in. Okay, I think that's all of our questions. Again, we appreciate everyone's time. We would make the offer to anyone on the call today that if you want to talk with us, we would be happy to do a custom demo for you with some of your invoices, just to show you how easy the system can be implemented and show you how it can work in your environment. So please feel free to reach back out to Olivia, and we can schedule something like that to show you your work in an actual demo. Okay, and again, thank you all for your time. Goodbye.